From Washington, D.C., this is RoadSigns, with your host, Seth Clevenger.
Thank you for listening to RoadSigns, the podcast series from Transport Topics that explores the trends and technologies that are shaping the future of trucking. In this episode, we're going to take you back to Intermodal Expo 2025, hosted in September by the Intermodal Association of North America. During the show, I spoke with Brian Kobza, Chief Commercial Officer at IMC Logistics, and Maneet Singh, CIO and Chief Digital Officer at Odyssey Logistics, about navigating uncertainty. As we all know, the freight transportation industry has faced an enormous amount of change and disruption this year. New tariffs and rapidly shifting trade policies have created an unpredictable business environment for shippers and their logistics partners. Meanwhile, transportation companies are still facing persistent challenges like the prolonged downturn in freight rates and the growing threat of strategic cargo theft, while also adapting to changing commercial vehicle emission regulations and the rise of artificial intelligence. With all these changes converging at the same time, how can trucking and logistics companies navigate such an uncertain business landscape? We'll set out to answer that question in this episode. But before we begin, I'd like to invite you to keep up to date on this topic and other important industry issues by subscribing to Transport Topics at ttn.ws/ttsubscribe. You can also text TT Subscribe to 571-622-0001. And now, without any further delay, let's play my conversations with Brian Kobza and Maneet Singh about adapting to a changing business landscape. We're here in Long Beach, California at IANA's 2025 Intermodal Expo, and I'm very excited to speak with Brian Kobza, Chief Commercial Officer at IMC Logistics. Welcome to the podcast, Brian.
Thank you, Seth. Let's have some fun.
Yeah, so just to start the conversation here, just tell our listeners a little bit about your career in freight transportation and your current role at IMC.
Sure, no problem. I have a very non-conventional career coming into this. I went to a little school in Massachusetts called Mass Maritime Academy, where I did some Navy Reserves time, and I got my engineer's license, sailed on some ships. I thought that was really cool. Thought I wanted to be an engineer, but then I realized I actually do like people. So being out in the middle of the ocean didn't work out so well. So I went to work for a little company called Maersk.
Heard of them.
Moved from Massachusetts down to New York, New Jersey, and that's where I decided I really like transportation and supply chain. Like, this is fun. So I went straight into operations. Have never done anything with my engineering degree, except for, I think I use it more now than anything else, create solutions. And that's what IMC is doing a lot of. So after Maersk, went to work at APM Terminals, also in New York, New Jersey, all in operations. Worked again with some really great legends in the industry down there, both labor and management, learning the craft from the very basic beginning part of a ship docks and a container comes off of it. And it's like, holy moly, there's my shoes and my couches and my, It's like, this is really cool. I went to work for another steamship line after that at Hyundai Merchant Marine, ran their Northeast regional operations, and that really solidified that I wanted to be in this career, but I wanted to understand from soup to nuts how it operates. So again, steamship line, port terminal operations, went to work for the Port Authority in New York, New Jersey. That was a great way to do some public service, make less money, but learn more. It's a great combination of those three things. Again, lucky enough to work with some really great people. At the time, Admiral Rick Larrabee was leading the organization, and he is an absolute legend. Set me up to really take over a lot of different parts of the organization within the port department as people retired. It was a little time, so I got to do automobile supply chain, container and terminal operations, some more of that, as well as labor relations and break bulk, and it was just phenomenal. But again, we did lead up to, I was trying to start a family at the time, and money, unfortunately, in life is important. So I went to work for the railroad. So now we have port terminal operations, steamship line operations, Port Authority, and now I went over to the railroad. That was my first foray really into the commercial side of the business. Working in the international intermodal division, selling to steamship lines and creating solutions for them on how to best get from the port to the inland location and then back. Loved it there, but was lucky enough to, unfortunately, for my career at CSX, which I loved, but to broaden my horizons, went to the Port of Virginia and then to a company called Global Container Terminals, also in the Northeast area. That was one of the most technologically advanced terminals in Bayonne, New Jersey, in the entire country, with semi-automation. Again, really forthright leadership there, and got to get a bigger experience of the global trade from there. Again, more important operations. The Ontario Teachers Pension Fund and the owners of that decided to sell those assets. Another great learning experience to learn about selling an asset that's I don't think I'm allowed to say exactly how much money, but a whole lot of friggin' money. And they sold that to CMA CGM. Again, I probably could have stayed there, but I wanted to do something different, and an opportunity with IMC came up. IMC is an asset-based drayage company, so about 2,700 trucks nationwide, but a true landside logistics company now, creating intermodal rail solutions through the contracts with our intermodal rail carriers, all 4 Class 1 U.S. railroads, as well as transload operations, chassis provisioning, and then huge endeavors leading the industry in cargo theft and sustainability. So it was a great way to work with a good family-owned business that is still investing and growing even in this downturn market, and it was an opportunity I couldn't say no to. So I came to work here, been here about 3 years, and loving every minute of it.
Yeah, so a career with ocean, rail, and truck. So perfect person to talk to about intermodal logistics here.
I hope so.
You've seen it all. But talking about the broader landscape here, as we all know, this year has been quite the roller coaster ride for international supply chains. Higher tariffs, changing tariffs,
Yes.
changing seemingly in a constant state of flux. Has really created this very unpredictable business environment that the industry finds itself in these days, and it's really tough out there for transportation and logistics providers to understand how they need to adapt, and in many cases they're just waiting for dust to settle. But from your vantage point, how have the tariffs and maybe more accurately the uncertainty surrounding them affected freight demand, and what have you seen in your business at IMC Logistics, being so big in drayage?
You used the exact 2 words to describe what's going on: uncertainty and unpredictability.
Yeah.
If you don't have certainty, you can't predict what's going to happen in the future, and if you can't predict on where the market is going to be, you can't. It makes it much more difficult to invest, and that's not just for drayage companies or logistics companies, but for our customers, the beneficial cargo owners. It's difficult for them too, and at the same time, they're going through margin compression. Right? If you have higher margins on the imports, they are also seeing that, and most of our customers are publicly listed, major retailers, automobiles, different things like that. So it's difficult for them. So we are working in overtime, trying to create solutions that can be both the current solution and be nimble enough to change in the future, whether it's draying from the ports to a transload location and putting in a 53 and draying it to a big DC, or putting it on the rail in the international container, or even on the domestic container. There's a lot of different solutions that we've been crafting for our customers. I think the second part of your question is where we're going. Yeah. I have no idea. I wish I did. I could shake my 8 ball, come up with the best guess. But IMC is a very financially sound company. We have great ownership, we've been very fiduciary, smart, so we are continuing to be able to invest and grow and take advantage of a market that not everybody was as prudent as our owners. So this is a very difficult market, continued poor rates. We call it freight rate recession, not a freight recession, because volumes are still good. So we're continuing to invest and try to grow, but doing it prudently and profitably.
Yeah. I appreciate that overview, and one of the takeaways from all this volatility we see, I think, is this elevated value of being flexible, being adaptable. That's more important than ever for the transportation and logistics providers in our industry. But it's hard to adapt when you don't know what it is you're adapting to, right?
Correct.
You don't know precisely what that new normal is going to look like. Maybe just a word on how IMC is thinking about that uncertainty. You don't know what the future holds, but how do you prepare yourself for whatever that future state looks like?
Sure. We get back down to basics. We listen to our customers. What do they need now? What do they think they need in the future? And then we craft our strategy around that. Because at the end of the day, our job is to produce efficient solutions for our customers and to move their cargo safely and effectively. So by listening to them, we're able to keep them happy, hopefully reduce their costs. And then on the backside, we continue to invest in areas that will create benefits for our company, our people, and our customers into the future. Whether that's more assets, opening up new locations, sometimes it's streamlining current locations. There's a lot of different solutions we are employing in the strategy, but it's still coming along pretty well. Yeah.
So obviously we are here in Long Beach. It's home to the second largest port in the U.S. and right next door to the largest in Los Angeles. So it's this massive port complex, and I have had the chance to kind of go out in the water and take the tour.
Oh,
and
good.
It's just, you don't understand how big it is until you have a chance to see it. It's just
tough to know how big those ships are until you're on a little dinghy next to it, and you're like, wow, okay, that's a skyscraper.
Yeah, seeing it in the distance out at sea doesn't tell the story for sure. But since we're here, I would love to dig a little bit deeper into drayage operations. Usually, I think the best way to put again, that roller coaster ride we've seen in volume has been this surge of demand leading up to expected tariffs.
Yes.
And then things slow down once they're in effect. But it creates these peaks and valleys. How do you adjust to those ups and downs of demand, right? When it's so unsteady, when it's so, yes, unpredictable, but also just sheer, fluctuation in the levels of demand. How do you, manage through that as a business?
Good question. Company's been in business for over 40 years. We've seen, as a company and as the leadership team that's behind it, we've seen this type of things before. This is never an even keel volume business, right? Unfortunately, it's peaks and valleys. Our job is to navigate how high the peaks are and how low the valleys are. Yeah. So for us, it's staying nimble. It's being able to pivot quickly, fail quickly, and create the right solution quickly. Our first and foremost important customers are drivers. So we need to make sure we're delivering the right value proposition for our drivers to be happy in their job, to provide for their families, and to stay safe. So that's the first thing we do. We say get back to basics. We invest right back into our people and our assets, and then we are diversifying beyond just drayage. We talk about drayage, a lot of trucks. It's very cool, very sexy, but we have tried to fortify our business by partnering with railroads. By signing up with Class 1 railroads and moving international containers on the train as a core drayage provider is a little something new for this industry. So we say IMC is becoming a IMC, an intermodal marketing company as well. So we're trying to diversify to create more solutions so that we can be as nimble as possible for our customers.
Yeah, no, it makes all the sense in the world, and having more options and flexibility to meet these changing needs for the industry. Another big topic we've heard a lot about here at the show is cargo theft. And it's not just kind of run-of-the-mill cargo theft, but strategic cargo theft that's really sophisticated, organized. It's really, various forms of identity fraud involved in this, and there's a cybersecurity element to this as well. But suffice it to say, cargo security is even more complex for intermodal carriers, right? You're managing freight that goes from ocean to rail to truck. So you have to have more of these transfers and unfortunately more opportunities for cargo thieves. Your vantage point, how bad has cargo theft gotten, and how are you working to prevent it at IMC, and how can the industry and law enforcement do a better job of combating it?
That's a big question, loaded question, but important. It is a hot topic here at IANA. It is a hot topic for our company and our customers right now. And it's because it has gotten so bad. Before, I would say 2019, we also say pre-COVID, right? That's the area that we all measure against. We had very few claims, very few. Now we've gone up close to 800%. And it's not for a lack of investment instead of in getting ahead of it. It's you have multinational criminal enterprises that are highly organized, know what they're doing, are deploying people rapidly, and it's difficult to keep up for the entire industry. There also isn't a centralized housing for for criminal activity, for thefts, for cargo,
Right.
for all the different actions going on, whether it's on the train, in a yard, or off a truck. There's not a central housing point. So our Chief Strategy Officer, Ms. Donna Lem, is helping to lead IMC and the industry by being an IANA board member, and actually testifying down in Washington, D.C. on behalf of something called the Corca Bill. It is a federal legislative bill that we are definitely supporting, IANA is supporting, that will create the collaborative funding, or funding for collaboration between federal, state, and local, state and local and federal crime fighters, right, for the police forces, so that they can get out there and work together, cooperate, understand the depth of the cargo theft going on, and hopefully create a solution. The other part of that is through prosecution. These, unfortunately, or fortunately, people aren't getting hurt physically. That's a very good thing. Very little violence in the cargo theft. But it's pure property. But when it's a pure property, it's a misdemeanor. The prosecution is relatively lax in many states. These aren't federal charges. They're mostly local charges. And the same people that were to empty a container of its goods are back out a day or two later doing the same thing. So there needs to be an organized industry solution, federal solution, state solution. This needs to happen. So we are definitely supportive of the Corca bill, and we are employing and investing in our own assets, both hard and soft assets, to help prevent cargo theft on behalf of our customers as well.
Yes, business, it's government, it's law enforcement, all the stakeholders.
Law enforcement. I don't know why I couldn't get that word out earlier.
All have a big role to play in this, and for sure enforcement, I think, is an important part of it as well. IMC, to shift gears a bit here, is a leader in sustainable trucking. In fact, we're out here out front of the exhibit hall and convention center is a battery electric truck you have on display. Right outside. But earlier this year it was my privilege to present one of TT's inaugural Sustainability Pathfinder Awards to IMC at TMC earlier this year. Your company's been an early adopter of hydrogen fuel cell technology, battery electric trucks in its California fleet, along with charging infrastructure, electric yard equipment, and forklifts. So a lot of experience with zero emission technologies, emerging technologies. What have you learned from operating those vehicles so far? And what advice would you share to other companies that are interested in electrification? For the most part, right now, it's not going to be as regulatorily driven as it looked at the beginning of the year.
Right.
But there's still companies out there that are interested in the opportunity and may have a key shipper customer who's interested in the opportunity. What's your advice for folks in our industry who want to dip their toes in this and understand how to succeed with electrification?
Well, first, thanks you for the award earlier this year. We appreciate that. This business is not easy. Sustainability is not cheap. This is a company that has invested ahead of time and really tried to be on the forefront of doing the right thing for our country, for the people that live around in LA and Long Beach and the rest of the country, and just for the environment overall. But sustainability is an area that we have created more of a blended solution. You have your diesel trucks, but our trucks are less than 5 years old on average. That's a way to reduce the emissions. Two, we also deploy biofuel and renewable fuel as well to also decrease the carbon footprint. And then, of course, like you mentioned, our sexy battery electric truck out there with the lightning bolts on it. We've got 6 battery electric trucks that we've deployed. And then we've also deployed about 50 hydrogen trucks, which are those hydrogen fuel cell trucks are out there running all around California now. So advice to other people that want to invest into it is to know what you're getting yourself into. You had mentioned regulations are changing rapidly. Here we invested ahead of time. We've got some great partners in our customers that helped us be able to do that, because sustainability right now, again, it's not cheap. It's a more expensive option. It's a higher investment, and but it's a higher reward, and we're going to continue to be doing that. But I would make sure that anybody who's looking for advice, know your customers, know you're able to partner with them to create the solution that they need, so that you have the fortitude to be able to invest properly. and then two, look into the technology that and make sure you believe in it. We believe in hydrogen. We believe in battery electric. We think they together that they will be a blended solution for the industry going forward. But make sure that those people, that if you're looking to invest in it, to educate yourself as much as possible, because it's not a difficult, quick road.
Yeah, it's a very steep learning curve, and a lot of pieces that have to come together, especially around infrastructure.
That's right.
And working with those partners, the customers, and also the localities that are in favor of the zero emission technology. Doing it in the right place as well is important, and having the incentives in place to help offset that
Absolutely.
added cost, because it is, as you said, more expensive.
And the regulations are changing. I mean, they've rolled back a lot here in California. You have certainly some federal pressures, some local state pressures, municipality pressures that are kind of trying to figure out what's best for their community. And we're in support of what they deem is appropriate and what they want to do for their community. We want to create cleaner air and be a part of it. Yeah.
So as the regulations have changed, I've seen a kind of a groundswell of interest in some of the other alternatives out there to the standard diesel that we see out there. There's a lot of interest in renewable diesel. We see natural gas getting a sort of a fresh look from a lot of companies. Biodiesel you mentioned. So there's lots of other ways of making the tried and true internal combustion engine more efficient,
Correct.
more sustainable, and that can be kind of the low-hanging fruit here that's available to more broadly across the industry. You're using renewable diesel for your diesel-powered trucks in California. Sure. Do you envision some of these alternative fuels, whether it's renewable diesel, biodiesel, natural gas, renewable natural gas? Do you see them becoming more commonplace in the trucking industry in the years ahead?
Absolutely. So we're deploying it out in the West Coast right now for a lot of our freight, and we have opportunities to buy the fuel and use the fuel in other markets as well. So you have a good Texas market where you can get biodiesel for the most part, not so much renewable. New York, New Jersey, Savannah, even Chicago. So I think it's like a bridge to the next level of moving into zero emission vehicles, and from your standard modern diesel, it's a great bridge to get there. And so we're going to continue to use that and deploy it in more markets going forward. I expect the rest of the industry to as well, and certainly wouldn't be surprised if different state or federal regulations start pushing in that direction.
Okay. We've certainly spent some time here on the changing regulatory landscape. Yep. Continues to change. To what extent do you see these changes shifting investments away from, again, the zero emission technologies that we've started talking about, to some of the other alternatives that are more based on the internal combustion engine, right? Natural gas, renewable diesel. Do you see tangible shift in that direction as a result of the rule changes? And have the rule changes altered the way that you think about sustainability and alternative fuels at IMC?
That is also a loaded question. You're good at these. We are certainly changing the blended approach. So we'll continue to offer all the different options. Again, from standard diesel to biodiesel, renewable diesel, and then our ZEV vehicles. We have pulled back a little bit from instituting new ZEV trucks right now, because we need to make sure that we're able to put that those assets in place right away and to perform for our customers. So we're not shying away, though. We're going to continue to go down the sustainability route and continue to invest ahead. We just want to make sure it's in the right place for the right return for our customers.
Yes, right. And the calculations change as the rules change too. So there's just there's a lot of complexity, from just purely a business standpoint to understand the best way to go about this. But
absolutely, we're ready to invest. We're waiting to understand where the regulations are going to go, because you don't want to make the wrong decision either, and it's almost impossible to guess.
Yeah, that's right. Looking out to other modes of transportation. I think we talked about truck extensively here, and a little bit about ocean, but I also want to turn to rail. And one of the trends there, of course, has been consolidation among the Class 1 railroads. So we saw Canadian Pacific and Kansas City Southern merged back in 2023. And the big conversation now, and I think it was one of the moderators put it, the elephant or the gorilla in the room, is this Union Pacific and Norfolk Southern merger, proposed merger. That's we'll have to go through that regulatory process, of course. But from your perspective, what does that mean for truck rail intermodal operations in the future if we do get a transcontinental railroad that's all part of one enterprise, and we continue to see this type of consolidation in among the Class 1s?
Sure. This is an area, I'm a giant nerd when it comes to, I think trains are so cool still, right? So working with CSX, I still miss being around the trains all the time. Coming to IMC, we're moving trains out now too, so it's a lot of fun. If you look back at the history of all the different railroads around the country, this is nothing new.
Yeah.
They would consolidate, and they'd break up. And they consolidate, and they'd break up. It was at, I believe it was J.P. Morgan had the first transcontinental train service, right? From New York to the PNW, and then down to L.A. The UP and the NS were not a part of that back then, but they are going to be, it appears. So any way that the railroads can work together to drive out efficiency, whether it's through acquisition or just strategic partnership, it's a good thing. That's the way we kind of look at it. So the interchanges in, you got Chicago, Kansas City, Memphis, Dallas, New Orleans, most of the interchanges, really Memphis and Chicago. There's a lot of inefficiency to it when the BN or the UP hand off to the CSX or NS or the other way around. That's where you get delays. That's where you get cargo theft. That's where you get lost containers or lost shipments because those interchanges they can become cumbersome just based on the amount of work. So if they can drive out the inefficiencies there, create a faster transit time, I think it could be a good thing for our industry. Again, no matter how they do it, through acquisition, partnership, or just new operations.
Yeah.
You could see it having its ramifications already, right? The UP and NS just announced another collaboration just yesterday. The BN and CSX are already talking about new ways to do the interchange better. Sometimes one of the things I heard that they do is a step on, step off, and that means crew steps off a train and the other crew steps on, and there isn't the whole interchange. It's just a straight steel wheel. On the drayage market, one of the things that we are relied on by the railroads is some, we call it rubber tire interchanges. So that's when you have to do a crosstown from one of the western railroads to an East Coast railroad, and the truck has to take it. That's an inefficient use of our assets and of the trucking market. So if they can move to, again, like just keep pounding away on the word efficient, but it's creating fluidity, we'll try to change it up a little bit, through doing the steel wheel interchanges and doing them in a faster way, again, I think it'll be a good thing for the industry as a whole.
Yeah, it'll certainly be a news item that will be watching very closely every step of the way.
That's right.
To be, given all the interest. And one final question here, and I'll turn it back to truck to serve the majority of our audience at Transport Topics best. As we all know, the trucking industry has been navigating this very challenging freight market really for 3+ years now. It's higher operating costs as well. There's still an overabundance of freight hauling capacity, and that's holding down freight rates. Brian, from your vantage point, how would you describe the current market conditions? And again, I know you don't have that magic 8-ball, but what's your outlook for the remainder of this year and moving into 2026? Is it still just finding a way to manage through a down market, or do you see any relief on the horizon?
Sure, I'm shaking the 8-ball on a regular basis. My CEO is obviously always asking me to, right? Where are we going to go? Where are we going to be? I definitely don't have a clear, perfect picture. I think that this has been a freight rate recession, not a freight recession. I've said that over and over again. Imports are up 3.5% year over year.
Yeah.
Right? It's not a lack of volume. It's a lack of profitable business. Sadly, we've seen on the trucking side, brokers, asset-based operators going out of business. Good people, good operators. Not that they were doing anything wrong or bad at actors or anything like that. Just they couldn't manage their business into the new rate pressures, and that's not a good place to be for any company. Again, we've been lucky enough to be extremely fiduciary responsible and are in a good financial position with our owners. And we're trying to make sure we're able to educate our customers, find good long-term partners that can understand service comes at a cost, and we need to work on that together and balance the two to make sure that our customers are getting the best service possible, while also getting the best cost and market rate possible to help support their business because they have their own areas. So where we're going, I don't think it's going to be as bad as the market or people are making it out to be. Again, volume is still up. We were talking earlier to a couple of customers and retailers and checking the numbers. Inventory levels in warehouses have not skyrocketed. They're still about 1.3 months, or it's not. It's more of a good number for them. Right. So they're not oversupplied. So they do need to continue to purchase and import and bring in their goods to have it on the shelves to sell. Yeah. So where I think there were estimates of about a 17% drop off in Q4, I find that very difficult to believe. Got Golden Week, you got different areas where it might be have good weeks and bad weeks, but that big of a drop off means that people are not buying stuff, and it certainly seems like people are still buying a whole lot of stuff. Yeah. And as long as people are buying things, then the consumer is strong, then I think the market will be all right. I don't think we're going to see a big surge. I think the volumes will come down, but I don't think it's going to be as drastic as people are making it out to be.
Yeah, I hope you're right.
We all
do. But before we wrap up here, we've certainly covered a lot of ground in this conversation. But do you have any parting thoughts you'd like to share with our listeners before I let you go?
That's an easy one this week. This week is Driver Appreciation Week. It's an area that I think that it shouldn't just be a week. It's got to be an all year round. Our first line of customers are our drivers. Yeah. The men and women driving the trucks and working in the depots and maintenance and repair. Those are the people that we all need to remember are working day in and day out, 24/7, to make sure the box is on our doorstep at some point. So be gracious on the roads, be gracious anywhere, thank a driver, and make sure you remember that all year round.
Yeah, no, I certainly appreciate that, and it's a tough job, and it's a job that everybody depends on. Our whole way of life depends on it. Hey, great conversation, Brian. Really appreciate you joining the podcast here and sharing your insights. Great conversation, great thoughts.
Yeah, my pleasure. You were great to talk to as well.
Awesome.
Appreciate your time.
Next up, let's move on to my conversation with Odyssey's Maneet Singh.
We're here in Long Beach, California at IANA's 2025 Intermodal Expo, and I'm very excited to speak with Maneet Singh, CIO and Chief Digital Officer at Odyssey Logistics. Maneet, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Seth. Good to be here.
So obviously we're in the midst of a major wave of new technology with the latest advances in artificial intelligence. It's just every show I go to these days, something about AI, right? There has to be multiple sessions, including one that you were on here. But we see it really making its way into the transportation industry. So Maneet, you're leading an AI and digital transformation at Odyssey right now. I'd love to hear more about that initiative, so that's a great place to start. How are you using data and AI to make smarter decision-making across intermodal supply chains at Odyssey?
Thanks, Ed. So I joined Odyssey a couple of years back, and since then we have been on this path of digital transformation. As a business, our main goal is to provide options to our customers from a freight moving point of view. We have all modes of transportation that we offer, we have warehousing, and on top of that, we want to provide better visibility to our customers as well. To do all that, the most important thing that we focus on was data. This is often overlooked when we talk AI, but data is the foundation layer. So we invested a lot past year and a half to build a data lake that has all the different systems that we have in one place. And now we're leveraging the data that we have in a much more mature state, applying AI tools on top of it to provide better visibility, to provide better optionality on route optimization, you name it. Network optimization, all of those things that are very important for our customers. So it's been quite a journey. We are just getting started on the AI front, so to speak, but we have built the foundation to really accelerate now.
And the data is the foundation. Having
foundation.
So much siloed data, resides in different systems in our industry. That makes it a real challenge for AI implementation.
Not just the siloed data. The definition of data is different. So often overlooked part is the data governance. Is the definition of shipment is different for different businesses. Yeah. So all those things have to rationalize. That's what makes it harder.
Yeah, so that's the hard work that goes into this to kind of set that foundation, as you put it, for broader AI implementation. I want to zoom out a little bit because this year has been anything but normal for international trade and global logistics. Obviously, we talk so much about the higher tariffs, the shifting trade policies. And really, right now at least, it's just created this unpredictable business environment. If you're a transportation or logistics provider, it's tough out there. If you're a shipper, you're just not sure what to do because you're not sure what the playing field is going to look like until the dust settles. But when you think about all the changes and all the pivoting and all the decisions that have to be made in this environment, how can AI help companies navigate that in a better way, hopefully better orchestrate their supply chains, both during a time of great uncertainty now, but also as you look to the future, that dust settles and maybe we have a need to reconfigure supply chains to match that new state. How can AI really help us do that in a better, more intelligent, more efficient way?
Yeah, it's the question of the day, right? The way we look at it, Odyssey, is disruption is a new normal. So a few years back it was pandemic, and now tariffs, and there will be something else. AI is a part of the solution. What we believe is that we should plan our systems and technologies to be adaptable, to plan for the next disruption, not just for the past disruption. And where AI can help is it helps us control our own destiny. We have data now, we have better insights. The key to disruption is how we pivot. So running all the what if scenarios, for example, do we go rail versus truck, depending on what the cost is? How do we go, different modes? That's the key. So AI helps us parse through a massive amount of data based on historical performance and the cost and carbon footprint. All of those things, a human will be hard pressed to do those things. That's where AI helps. But again, the foundation is have systems that are adaptable, have data that you can leverage, and use AI to do those scenario planning so that we can control what we can and not worry about the disruptions, because that is continuing to happen.
Yeah.
It's all over. It's not just technology that's being disrupted; the environment is being disrupted. So the entire industry is in throes of disruption. So
no, for sure. It's certainly a time of tremendous change and across this industry, and right now we're right in the middle of it, so it's not clear what it will look like. As I mentioned earlier at this conference, you spoke during a session on AI about this was the 4 pillars of AI for intermodal. So we're looking specifically in the intermodal space. Could you just recap a few of your top takeaways from that conversation here on this podcast?
Sure. So it was a great panel session. It was obvious that there's a trepidation in what AI can do. There were questions about how jobs are going to be replaced, how we use AI, how do we get started on the journey. But what came out loud and clear was our industry, at least the panelists and the audience, were ready for the change.
Yeah.
So that was good. We focused on LLMs and physical AI, and I focused on the analytics piece. So those things were very important aspects of one of the 4 pillars of AI. The biggest takeaway was there are companies who are already using AI in a lot of ways, and there are a lot of companies who haven't started yet, but people want to. So one thing we talked about that, what's future looks like in 5 years out, and I said that 5 years is too far out. Let's plan for next year. Yeah. Start small, keep learning, and keep adapting. So it was a pretty good session.
Yeah, and I often hear that building AI literacy in your workforce is also
it's very important. Culture. Again, one thing that often overlooked in this entire disruption journey is how you enable your team members to not be afraid of AI, but embrace it, use it, and have a culture that actually empowers people to fail fast. Ask the question, fundamentals. Questions could be different now. Our fundamental processes could change. So ask the question at the grassroots level and see how things can change.
Yeah. And as we look at AI adoption more broadly in the transportation industry, could you share some advice to maybe some of those trucking and logistics businesses that haven't dipped their toe in this yet? How can they effectively incorporate AI into their operations? From what you've seen, from your experiences, what are the clearest opportunities? And what are some of the common pitfalls to avoid?
I'll start with the common pitfall. And there was a study that I read recently. Over 90% of AI implementations, they fail to deliver value so far. Mm-hmm. The way we look at Odyssey is we don't look at technology as a solution. We look at the business problems that our customers are facing, we are facing, and then you see how technology can help. Yeah. That paradigm shift is make sure that whatever we're investing towards an outcome. So it's very outcome-based approach to AI at Odyssey. And that's the advice I'll give it to other industry people as well. Think business, use technology, not the other way around. There are a lot of opportunities. I mean, productivity of individual people is going to be better. I mean, we all have, I'm sure, use ChatGPT, for example. That is there, right? We are using that. From a business point of view, route planning, route optimization, that is there. Network optimization, that's something that we have just built here. We are saving millions of dollars to our customers because now we can use their data and advise them where their warehouses should be placed, what modes of transportation they should be using. All of that we are saving millions of dollars for the customers now. So those things are very specific use cases, and we are seeing tangible results right now.
Yeah, rather than boiling the ocean to start, find those use cases and build from there.
Yeah.
Now, clearly, it's we understand and see that AI is enabling transportation companies to automate certain workflows, especially the more routine and mundane tasks are really primed for automation. How is it going to change the way people work in the logistics industry? I know there is some angst about that, and always that's one of the first questions that comes up in these panels and in these conversations. But how do you envision the industry's workforce interacting with AI in the future?
AI is not going to replacing the human intelligence piece of it. So at our Odyssey, we say critical intelligence CI meets AI. Critical intelligence meets artificial intelligence. The point being, the domain expertise is going to continue to be important. But what we need to add to our people is the curiosity. Understand your core business. What are the core processes? See how that gets better. So I envision all of us, but no matter what industry, especially in logistics, is to be asking the question at a more fundamental level, understanding what our core strengths are and how we can improve the experience for our customers, and then use AI to improve it. It is not going to go away, and it should not go away. When used correctly, there's a lot of value to be had, huge productivity gains to be had.
Yeah, and we've already discussed the very high degree of volatility in international supply chains right now, but another angle I'd like to explore here is this growing emphasis and need for flexibility and resilience. Again, in this uncertain world we live in. How is Odyssey keeping freight moving through all the disruptions, all the uncertainty we've already talked about here? And what's your advice on how logistics businesses can become more nimble and adaptable as things change so rapidly?
Something similar to what we discussed is the disruptions are the new normal. So having resilient systems that are adaptable, it is key. And then having data that is mature is very important. And then you use AI tools to do the planning so that we can control what we can control and make sure that the freight is moving at the most productive, the most efficient way. That's what we use at Odyssey as well. We thankfully, we have those fundamentals in place now, so our customers understand that we are able to give our customers much better insight into their own data. So they know that if they have to plan things differently, they can have access to their own data and plan it accordingly. So much more tighter collaboration with our customers and using systems that can change as we need to.
Sure. Another big topic I'd love to touch on here that we heard about a lot during this conference here at IANA is cargo theft, especially strategic cargo theft that's highly sophisticated, organized. This has become a real headwind for the entire supply chain and transportation industry, and there are schemes that involve typically forms of identity fraud. You're pretending to be someone you're not to carry out a scheme. Cybersecurity breaches are still a very big concern as well. At Odyssey, how are you working to combat cargo theft and fraud? And what's your advice to the industry at large on how we can mitigate this? Again, it's a big problem. It's become a bigger problem in recent years. What can we do?
It's an industry problem. So the advice to the industry and all of us who are part of it is treat this as a shared problem. It's not an individual company's problem, right? What we do at Odyssey is we have invested a lot in cybersecurity tools, obviously. So we have a lot of systems in place that can flag any issue, red flags. So we have that. Using AI to look at the PDFs that you scan, it can tell you that whether it's fake or not. But most important thing we're doing for the past 6-8 months is having much more focus on carrier management. So we're just implementing a system called Highway, which is a new gold standard in managing carriers, not just their credit worthiness. but just how they use the systems. So having a process that you vet your carriers is very important, and then that will mitigate the risk. Add that to the cybersecurity processes, that will improve, mitigate the risk. But it's an industry problem, and we got to tackle it together.
Yeah, and I think that carrier verification piece is
Yes.
becoming more and more important.
More and more important.
It's such a fragmented industry. So much of the work is done by small carriers. It's just the sheer number of companies out there, and it's so important to know exactly who you're working with, to know you can trust who you're working with, because it is transportation is an industry built on trust. So do you see these types of verification tools becoming basically an industry standard moving forward? Is that
Yes.
something that just has to happen to prevent some of these fraud schemes and some of the cargo theft we've seen?
Yeah, and it goes the other way too, right? Because we want to have more access to carriers so that we can move freight faster. But at the same time, not all the carriers that are smaller, they can invest in technology. So we are building platforms so that the carriers who do not have the technology, they can use our platform. But it's difficult. Have to speed versus doing it right. That's where the balance is.
Yeah, and another question I wanted to get to you real quick here is, now that we've been through most of the show here at IANA, at Intermodal Expo, I've been taking it all in. What are some takeaways that you've gleaned from this show? Is there anything that stood out to you from the conversations that you've had at the show, or from the sessions, or just wandering the exhibit hall? What stood out to you the most?
It was refreshing to see that there's alignment on the problems we're facing. It's not a unique company problem. The challenges that we're seeing is industry-wide. And when you have that kind of alignment, the solutions will come as well. So that was my biggest takeaway. We are not an Odyssey one-off that we have to struggle with this and figure out solutions. It is refreshing to see that people are embracing more and more advanced technologies. So that's good as well. The question that we're asked, it shows that they want to get on the journey but don't know how. So our industry, intermodal specifically, has been starved of technology in past. But it's refreshing to see that people want to go to the next step. AI will help people jump through the lack of investment in past years and get caught up,
Right.
which is a great thing. And people are doing that, but you got to do it thoughtfully. There's a lot of pitfalls in AI, as we know.
For sure, and AI has been really, in some ways, democratizing technology because it's available. Really advanced capabilities are available to much smaller businesses than in the past.
It makes IT sound easy, right?
Yeah, that's right.
It's not.
Sounds easy, but it's still not.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up here, Maneet, are there any parting thoughts you'd like to share with our listeners? Anything we didn't get to?
Sure. What I strongly believe in that with all the technology we have in place, our limits to improvement is the limit of our thinking. So I challenge my team, we challenge ourselves at Odyssey, and I would challenge our listeners as well. Think the art of possible, and then use technology to enable it. Think business, think outcomes, and then use technology. Building a culture of excellence and building a culture of where we can use technology is going to be important, so that people are fearful of AI, they embrace it and do it thoughtfully. Having data security in place is very important as well. Focusing on data is critical. So it's not like you should jump to the answer right away. Start small, keep learning, and then use AI to build the momentum.
Yeah, well, I think that's a great way to close it here. Thank you again for this conversation. Really appreciate you joining the podcast, Maneet. Thank you for sharing your insights.
Thank you, Seth. Enjoyed. Good being here.
Before we close, let's take a moment to revisit our original question. How can trucking and logistics companies navigate today's uncertain business landscape? As we've heard during this episode, changing trade policies and their effect on international supply chains are still in flux. It's difficult to adjust to the unknown, but adaptability and flexibility are essential at a time like this. Trucking and logistics companies must carefully protect their margins in a down freight market, while also putting proper safeguards in place to prevent fraud and cargo theft. The time is also right for transportation providers to explore how AI can help them operate more efficiently and do more with less. In an unpredictable business environment, one thing that is certain is the need to adapt to a changing world or risk falling behind. If you've enjoyed this episode of RoadSigns, please let others know. Rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If my questions have sparked questions of your own, share them with me and the RoadSigns team. You can email us at share@ttnews.com. Also, let us know how we did by texting TT Survey to 571 622-0001. And of course, we'll be back soon with a fresh episode of Road Signs. Until then, I'm Seth Clevenger. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for joining us. Road Signs is a Transport Topics production.